Puan Sri Maimun, Muhammad Arif Patail, Board of Pemimpin, co-founders of MTP, Samuel and Cheryl, friends, a lot of friends, and colleagues, but most of all, I think the education leaders, educators, and most importantly, dear teachers, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon. It's always a feeling of deep, humbling to stand before teachers. I think even many of us may have moved on, but we may have started as teachers and continue to be teachers in whatever positions we are. I started myself as a teacher. I'm a biology teacher, and I started in 1986 in Sekolah Menengah Sultan Muhammad Jiwa, Sungai Petani, Kedah. So that's many years ago. I taught, in my first year, I taught Form 1 Science Paduan. I taught Form 5 Biology, and also the first year of preparatory program to enter USM, that time no college matriculasi. So I think it's within those classrooms facing these young students that I find that the role of the teacher is not just focusing on the subject matter, but these young people are full of life. They are curious, they want to know a lot of things, and that time, because I'm a biology teacher with a lot of background in science, they think I'm like a doctor, they'll ask all sorts of questions. And also, at that time, in 1986, there wasn't Google, so I had to do a lot of my own references in preparing for the class. But the point here is that they have a lot of questions about life, about the environment, about the world we live in. So to me, that's where I got my first understanding of the actual role of the teacher. It's not just giving facts. Now you call teachers as facilitators. At that time, they are teachers where they teach, and we talk about facts and content. But also, opening up the doors for them, for their curiosity, for their motivation to learn, as well as possibilities, right? That's among, I think, what I learned during my first year in Sungai Petani. But after more than 34 years with the Ministry of Education Malaysia in this system, I'm now with the Southeast ASEAN Ministers of Education Organization, or CMU Secretariat. So our council consists of 11 Ministers of Education in the region. And I can say that, moving from Malaysia to CMU, and also looking at the evidences, teachers are one of the most, or the most important school-based factor to affect student learning. Right? So that's how important teachers are to bring about learning amongst our students. And every day across Malaysia, our educators show up. They respond to a profound responsibility. They don't just teach the subject, but also shape the future of our nation by teaching the leaders of tomorrow. They inspire students to widen their horizons and visualize new possibilities, nurture their potential. I was here in the session with Datuk David Nicole, and the support of her family and various people around her that enable the nurturing of her talent that has brought her to where she was at in the world. And the teacher to stand steadfast beside them, performing multiple duties as our learners transform their dreams into realities. So when I started in Sungai Petani, besides teaching these 3 classes from Science Paduan Biology, I was also a warden. Since I wasn't married then, so I came there, I didn't have a place to stay, I haven't found housing yet. So they said, good, you can become our warden. So that means even beyond the teaching and learning, you have other responsibilities. You are also the guru rumah sukan, you are also the library teacher, you are also the science teacher, and many other things. You also, your students say, Cikgu, can you do extra tuition? Since I'm there in the school, I also do extra tuition at night. So there's a lot of asks and responsibilities on the teacher. So when we speak of kepimpinan or leadership, we are not speaking only of positions or titles. Leadership is a responsibility, is an accountability, and a daily act of courage. Every teacher who refuses to give up on a struggling student is a leader. Every teacher who shares best practices, mentors a colleague, or joins a professional learning community, that is kepimpinan dalam tindakan or leadership in action. While we honor your contribution, we acknowledge the challenges you face. The educators of today are asked to do more than ever to serve as facilitators, as mentors, community leaders, crisis responders, and advocates for inclusion and empathy. I came earlier this week because I attended a Higher Education Leadership Summit, and I sat, other than giving my speech, I sat in one of their background sessions on teaching and learning. So they were talking about values education. And one of the things that they raised was on compassionate pedagogy. And I was telling myself, what is that? What does that mean? And how do you do that within the classrooms, within the compassionate pedagogy? I'm even struggling with human-centered teaching and learning to make it really happen beyond that term that we use. So if we are to keep our best educators in the profession and attract more to join their rank, we must act decisively. We must ensure that those who teach are supported, respected, and empowered. Yet today, we face a sobering global reality. According to the 2024 UNESCO Global Education Monitoring Report on teachers, the world needs 44 million new teachers to achieve universal primary and secondary education by 2030. This is to meet the promise we made of Sustainable Development Goal 4 on inclusive and equitable quality education for all. In Southeast Asia, we have 12 million primary and secondary school teachers, but we also face the same issue of a gap estimated at 4.5 million teachers. The impact of such shortage are vast, including it's costly to the system, it increases teacher workload, it damages the quality of education. This also reminds us that while systems and policies are vital, the true measure of an education system's strength lies in its people. If we are to bridge the gap, We must dignify the profession, diversify pathways into teaching, and strengthen professional support to attract, develop, and retain not just skilled teachers, but passionate people who teach with heart and purpose. In Malaysia, we are fortunate to have a strong foundation of policies, for example, from the Malaysia Education Blueprint to the Malaysian Teacher Standards, all of which underscore the importance of continuous professional development. At CMU, where I am, through research, collaboration, and dialogue across 11 member countries, we have learned that 4 factors are key to addressing these challenges. First, teachers teach because they are motivated to teach. This is based on studies across our region, including CMU Innotech's Teacher Motivation for Staying in the Profession, a Southeast ASEAN framework, as well as exploring teachers' whys. These studies ask why teachers choose to teach. And the study affirms intrinsic drivers such as teacher motivation, deep love for students, a sense of purpose, and a commitment to serve the country and future generation. Why teachers stay? It is not merely for livelihood, but because they are committed to the profession, they believe in shaping lives and transforming communities. But we also see 4 out of 10 surveyed teachers also said that they have thought about leaving the profession, right? So, and some of them quoted things like administrative demands, heavy workloads, limited professional support that erodes their inner drive. Therefore, this study is important as we are able to hear the voices of our teachers in shaping policies that reflect and reaffirm their hopes as well as goals and better understand how to recharge their motivations. Therefore, we must design systems that nurture teachers' joy. I think Dato' Nicole spoke about, what's important, for being the kind of teacher that, she would look up to, for example. So she says, teachers with health and teachers who are happy, right? So this study also shows that, to nurture teachers' joy, teachers who are happy would also go into classrooms and schools with happiness, reaffirm their moral purpose, and recognize their dedication, ensuring that the heart of teaching continues to be strong even amidst the challenges that we face. At one point in time, when I was still within the Ministry of Education, the year I was about to retire, the media asked me, what made you go into the teaching profession? What is the grit that made you stay and to be where you are at that point of time? So truthfully, I never had the motivation to go into teaching. So my first choice was dentistry, second was pharmacy, and third was biology. And we had a panel of people from sponsoring bodies. So they said, you can go for your first or second choice at the local university, because that time in the UK, there was a huge increase in the health or medical fields. So I said, that time there's no career guidance or counseling, So being young at that time, I have very short vision. So my ambition was, I I want to go overseas. I don't want to go into a local university. Therefore, the representative from MOE said, we can give you scholarship if you take this biology option. Therefore, I took a bachelor degrees in biology and came back to do, that time they call it SPLI, the teaching certification that allowed me to go into teaching. So what made me stay for 34 years? I think for me, foremost is that sense of responsibility and accountability, because this is the task that's given and I've kind of chosen, to enter. Therefore, I must be accountable for those responsibilities. Also, I think it's because the motivation to do my best. So even though, at first, I may feel like leaving, but then, how do I do that? In the meantime, I continue to teach, and how do I teach? According to my capability. Even at that time, I was already introducing, for example, project work, classroom-based assessment. Then years later, when I was in the ministry, we introduced school-based assessment. So I thought, hey, I was very futuristic then. I did introduce it within my classroom. That means teachers have a lot of room within your own classroom, in your school, to do innovations that's beneficial to your teaching learning as well as to your students. And I think also, throughout my career, I always had, other than the workload and things given to you, I also had opportunities to grow, which I think motivated me to continue and stay, despite a lot of attractions outside maybe, but then I stuck through building my career in the teaching profession. Second, teachers who are well prepared, supported, and empowered foster better learning outcomes for their students. So CMEO is the secretariat, regional secretariat for the Southeast Asia Primary Learning Matrix, or CPLM. CPLM is a large-scale assessment as well as a capacity program. CPLM assessment is designed by and for Southeast Asia. You may be familiar with TIMSS and PISA. So CPLM is similar. It assesses grade 5 students in terms of reading, writing, and numeracy skills. Grade 5 denotes the end of primary, and we do respond to SDG 4.1.1b for end of primary learning. So results from the CPLM reveal that teachers' preparation, working conditions, and access to professional learning directly influence student achievement. Across participating countries, including Malaysia, many teachers work in classrooms where a significant proportion of students have not yet mastered skills expected in earlier grades. For example, from CPLM 2019, our first cycle, on average, 7 out of 10 grade 5 students are not able to read and comprehend basic text. And we see a similar crisis for mathematics or numeracy as well at the end of primary. The range is also huge. For example, in reading, it ranges, those that meet the benchmark ranges from 2% in a country in Southeast Asia to 82%. and for mathematics from 8% to 92%. So there's a huge learning crisis and a huge variance among countries on how students are learning and their outcome at the end of primary, which is important when we say, education for all, quality education for all, when even at foundational learning, we are not able to meet the outcomes that we want. So large class sizes, diverse language backgrounds, and varying learning needs adds to this complexity. In fact, last week I attended a workshop on ASEAN out-of-school children and youth, which again relates to foundational learning. And in our region, the numbers are increasing. Pre-pandemic, it was 7 million. It has increased to 11.8 million now, and it can go up to 18 million depending on the definition and the availability of data. So while we say we are committed to education for all, and we are doing various initiatives to bring children back to school, as well to make sure that they complete schooling, yet the numbers are increasing. And the rate also increases with age. So we see 3.8% at the primary level and triple to 9.8% at lower secondary level. So now we are looking at ways. We have an ASEAN OSCE working group on how to look at children at risk and also to bring back children that's already dropped out or have not entered schooling. And yet we see what kind of classroom and schools are we bringing them to, when 7 out of 10 children are not able to read and comprehend basic text or to do basic mathematics. So that's a big question to us. We have good teachers, but we need a lot more good teachers so that the whole system is of quality. To empower our teachers to meet these realities, professional development must be continuous, flexible, responsive to local contexts, not a one-size-fits-all. And I also want to acknowledge Pemimpin's invaluable contribution through the LADA program, which embodies the spirit of contextual school-based professional learning that uplifts both teacher competence and confidence. Third, teachers who feel confident, creative, and professional in using technology will enhance learning. The 2023 UNESCO GEM report on technology in education in Southeast Asia, developed by the CIMIO Secretariat together with the GEM report team in Paris, highlights a critical reality for teachers in Southeast Asia. While digital connectivity has grown rapidly, many educators still lack the confidence and skills to use technology effectively. Nearly 1/3 of primary teachers in countries like Cambodia and Laos PDR reported feeling not very or not at all confident using technology like ICT in the classroom, and around 40% had received neither pre-service nor in-service training. So these findings show that access to technology alone does not empower teachers. They need support, training, and guidance to integrate digital tools meaningfully into their teaching. I started using the computer in my 30s when I was doing my master's degree. But the generation today is born, in this era where my grandkids, for example, wake up to the iPad and sleep with the iPad. and the mother doesn't know what to do, and she says, you should use less of the iPad or else your eyeballs will come out. So when we come back home from Bangkok, and my eldest grandchild will usually sleep with us, and being grandparents, we allow her to do whatever she wants. So she says, I want to use my iPad 5 minutes, 10 minutes, So she'll keep watching it. And then the first time that we allowed her, in the morning she got up, met the mother and said, my eyeballs didn't come out. So it's very difficult with children nowadays and technology. So we talk about time using those devices, but it's difficult to control when it's so accessible and it is so attractive to them to be on those devices. So I worry about this generation of students that goes into the classrooms of today. My eldest, this one, will go into year 1 next year. So I worry for her, and the kind of things she learned through online and the things that we will deliver in the classroom. She may struggle at first, I think, but I do hope she will adjust. She's not good in BM. She's not good in spelling. Previously, she'll ask me how to spell this, how to spell that, so that she is able to search. But when she started learning that the iPad also has got function on speech, she no longer needs my help. She speaks to the iPad. So I would say, Alia, what are you talking about? No, I'm talking to the iPad. So that allows her to search more easily. So how do we cater to this kind of children? In Malaysia, technological tools such as those offered by Delima, Digital Education Learning Initiative Malaysia, and Sistem Pengurusan Pembelajaran are opening new opportunities for teachers to collaborate, share resources, and design innovative lessons across the country. And we see such in other countries as well. For example, Cambodia has virtual mentoring under the New Generation Schools program. Indonesia has Merdeka Mengajar and Guru Berbagi for supporting their introduction of the curriculum, Merdeka curriculum, as well as a platform to create a virtual community of teachers. Laos has the Kang Panyo Lao platform, and the Philippines has the DepEd Commons platform. Both are for accessing and exchanging online education resources. And we also see in Singapore where Student Learning Space Community Gallery empowers teachers to monitor students' performance and plan lessons. So that these initiatives are not just connection, but it's to empower teachers using EdTech, enabling teachers to feel confident, creative, and professional in using technology to enhance learning. This requires professional development that is continuous, practical, and responsive to teachers' needs and classroom realities. When teachers can use digital tools to experiment, differentiate instruction, and engage with colleagues, they are not just using technology, they are leading change in their classrooms and communities. Fourth, with the right support enabling an environment, teachers can step into leadership roles and drive meaningful change that extends beyond their classrooms. But recent regional data of Simeo Innotech reveals many teachers across Southeast Asia remain in roles defined primarily by content delivery rather than driving change, innovation, and community engagement. For example, the teaching competency standards in Southeast Asian countries, 11-country audit, identifies professional development and leadership of learning communities as among the least developed domains in many of our systems. To provide a framework for teacher development and ensure that governments are guided to help teachers grow as learners, leaders, and innovators, CMU released the Teacher Competency Framework, the TCF, Teacher Competency Framework, offers a holistic guide for educators, emphasizing growth in self-awareness, human values, and teaching mastery. It encourages teachers to deepen their subject knowledge, stay informed on educational trends, and understand their students' individual needs to promote meaningful learning. I think if you see this, it's quite similar to our own teacher standard framework because it's a reference to this TCF. Beyond the classroom, the framework highlights the importance of engaging with families and communities to build supportive, respectful learning environments. By developing these competencies, teachers can provide high-quality education, foster joyful and engaged learners, and serve as positive examples of integrity, empathy, and professionalism, ultimately embodying the goal of becoming a better teacher every day. Ultimately, the CMO Teacher Competency Framework positions teachers not just as educators, but as agents of change in their schools and communities, capable of shaping the future of education in Southeast Asia. So as teachers, our work is not merely to prepare students for exams, it is to prepare them for life. We are not just teachers, but nation builders, dream shapers, and hope givers. Today, I wish to congratulate our top 10 finalists of the Malaysia Teacher Prize. You are shining examples of teacher leaders who have redefined excellence through creativity, empathy, and innovation. Your stories remind us that every teacher can be a leader, every classroom a laboratory of change, and every lesson an act of community and nation building. Thank you for your courage and compassion and your commitment. To our partners, with a particular mention to Pemimpin, the lead organization of today's summit, to the Ministry of Education Malaysia, to all teacher champions, to colleges and universities, civil society, thank you for your contribution. You have shown that when we work together across sectors and borders, we create not just better teachers, but a better future for all learners. So when Samuel first met, when we first met and spoke about this summit and the tag that you are using, not here now, but a step together for shaping the future. So I said this is very close to my heart because during my duration as the DG of Education, my tagline was bersama-sama melangkah lebih jauh. Because the DG or the ministry alone, Ministry 7,000, not including JPN, PPDs and teachers, but that figure and that parcel E cannot do it on its own when we have such a complex system with its various, I know we have advantages, but we also have a lot of weaknesses and challenges. And we need to work together. And that's what we do also in Southeast Asia. We cannot impact change if we don't have a lot of partnerships and collaborative work. So I do subscribe to your step or steps together for shaping the future. So together, let us build a future where every child learns and every teacher thrives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Habibah, for that enlightening keynote and for sharing such thoughtful insights on the future of education in our region. We are honored to have you with us this afternoon, and it is our privilege to now witness a significant milestone that reflects the very spirit of collaboration you spoke about. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed with the signing of Memorandum of Understanding between Pemimpin and the Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization. This MOU marks the beginning of regional partnership to strengthen school leadership and enhance professional development opportunities for educators across Southeast Asia. May I now invite to the stage Puan Sri Maimun Arif Patail, Board Member of Pemimpin, and Mr. Samuel Isaiah, Executive Director of Pemimpin, to the stage. We now invite the signatories to proceed with the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding. Thank you, Dr. Habibah, Puan Sri Maimun, and Mr. San. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a warm round of applause to celebrate this partnership between Pemimpin and Simeo, a collaboration dedicated to empowering educators and transforming education across Southeast Asia.